That time again? Wow, that week went by very quickly. Yes, I got a haircut, and I'm trying this on my on a different computer because the other one, yeah, hopefully the quality's a little bit better this time. Okay, what were we on? Chapter 3, I do believe. This is chapter 3. Okay, I shall try my best. Chapter 3 it is. What am I? I grumbled in a deeply annoyed voice. I spoke loud enough to annoy Lyle and a few of those around me, but not loud enough to catch Rainier's attention at the front of our caravan. That elf wants me to come along. Then he straps me to a pack horse like another piece of baggage. I can walk on my own. I'm not totally incompetent. This is utterly demeaning. I knew we were in a large old-growth forest and traveling up the sides of a mountain. I could feel the gentle but pronounced pulse of the giant trees surrounding us. The horse's hooves striking the rough terrain, told me exactly how the land around me was shaped for several meters. I could feel the quicker pulses of the small animals within the trees and the ground. None of them were as strong as those of my companions. Rainier doesn't want you killing yourself on the climb up to the cave before we reach it, said Lyle, with what could have sounded like he was rolling his eyes in exasperation. You know he cares about you more than anyone else. That doesn't give him the right to stuff me with all the other useless junk back here, I grumbled, and don't even think of asking me to let you carry me. That would be worse than being dragged behind this horse by a rope. Thanks, grumbled Lyle darkly. Glad to know you think highly of me. What did I say to put you in a foul mood? Nothing, he said so softly I almost missed it. Something about being useless. You're not useless, I sighed. You have your own strengths and weaknesses. No one's perfect. If there's anyone who feels useless right now, it should be me. I'm strapped to the pack horse. How can this get any more humiliating? You're the one who keeps beating me every time we face off, he grumbled. I beat you to make you learn from your mistakes, I said calmly to his stony silence. Do you want me to let you win every single time? Where's the fun in doing that? I need to keep things interesting. Are you implying I'm not interesting? He asked. I could hear the calculatingly raised eyebrow look he used when he spoke in that tone. No, I scoffed playfully. You depend on me to keep you on your feet. You'd be a slobbering, drooling mess if it weren't for me. I'm getting you for that. He moved closer to the horse in an attempt to tickle me. Oh, no you don't, I exclaimed as he zeroed in on my armpits. He knew that was where I was most ticklish. I'm going to kill you and feed you to the dragon if you tickle me. I doubt you could, he replied in mirth, now aiming for my knees. You're stuck on the horse. On the elf's orders. Ah! I squealed as he softly tapped his large fingers under my right knee. I swung my fist at his head. Stop it! Stop it! Stop! Lyle! Yelled the authoritative voice of Rainier from the front of our hunting party as we stopped. Do you want to alert the beast we are here? Do you want to bring the forest down on us? Get up here and walk near the front with me. Wasn't my fault, he grumbled softly as he moved away from me. I'm always the one who gets in trouble. I sighed. Now the trip would be a little less enjoyable. I could tell from the mutterings around me that the men and women closest to me all knew it was my fault. Truth be told, Rainier had never disciplined me the same way he was doing with Lyle and the others who annoyed him. The blatant favoritism was starting to get on my nerves, but he was the leader and the strongest of us all. I already knew that nothing I would say would change his mind. So, for the entire duration of the trip up the mountain, I sat on the back of the horse like an unwilling queen whose tailbone was being crushed beyond repair. Our meals were eaten while we traveled, and Rainier only ordered 3 quick rests along the way. At the pace he set, We reached the cave just as the sun was beginning to think about setting for the second time behind the mountain we were climbing. We halted and waited as the advance team, with Rainier leading, headed for the cave. Lyle inched back to where I was sitting on the horse. I knew the leader had sent out several search teams to find the last of the dragons, and we knew this cave was occupied. We waited tensely as the advance team entered the cave. I strained all the senses I had left. The only dragon I'd come across after my accident had a distinctive red-tinted glow. I wasn't picking up anything of the dragon now, but something was starting to bother me. Some uneasy feeling. "It's empty!" exclaimed one of the other elves that had followed Rainier in. There was a sudden pattering of feet all around us as some creatures got into position. It was then that I realized I was seeing gray smudges in my mind's eye. "Attack!" I yelled as loudly as I could. "We're surrounded! We're under attack!" That's when the yelling started. A cacophony of shrill shrieks rent the air. I hastily removed my bow from behind me and drew an arrow from my quiver. "What are they?" I yelled to anyone who was closest to me. "What are we up against?" "Goblins," commented Isabel, sliding in next to me. I felt the scraping as she removed her long daggers from her belt. They weren't long enough to be classified as swords, but they were still just as effective. Servants of the dragon. They let us fall into an ambush. I hope you two are ready for all hell to break loose. I notched an arrow and pulled back in anticipation as the goblins approached. I knew Lyle had removed his sword on the opposite side of the horse from Isabel. I loosed it and had the satisfaction of having it bury itself into a goblin. The gray smudge vanished as I hit its heart. As the battle began in earnest, I could feel my companions' heartbeats speed up with adrenaline. I could almost see them in my mind, just had to make sure I didn't hit any of them. All I had to do was hit the gray smudges. Easy. The next several minutes blurred into oblivion, of firing arrow after arrow from the back of the horse, while Isabel and Lyle prevented any of the goblins from reaching my sides. I felt like I was performing an intricate ballet of twists and turns while shooting my foes. My motion never stopped completely as I grabbed arrow after arrow from my quiver and continued shooting. I winced every time a life was erased from my mind, even if it was the goblins dying. I had to prevent myself from heaving my last meal up several times. This was the first time I had to use my archery for killing. I knew they wouldn't hesitate over killing us. I could feel it along with the dark aura I saw. That didn't make the killing any easier. After a number of minutes of fighting going on all around, they were forced into a retreat. We had lost 5 to the goblins, and there were more of them littering the ground than I could care to count. Not that I wanted to. The battle had made me sick, and my rebelling stomach still wanted to heave my supper on top of everything else. The taint of blood flooding my nostrils did not help. I could tell that Isabel and Lyle had scored a few cuts from the goblin's wicked daggers. I had one on my thigh, which I didn't remember getting. The goblin's blood was slightly different from human. It held a darkish taint to it that made me shiver. I doubt any of my companions could smell it. I knew from past experience, when Rainier returned from the hunts, that each different species had blood that smelled slightly different. They were all very similar, but human blood had a metallic smell, dwarves smelled a little more like dirt in the ground, and elves were reminiscent of crushed leaves, but much sharper. I'd never told anyone about my nose. It was enough that I was blind and knew where everyone was. I didn't smell much blood from the elves now, but I knew that all the humans on this hunt had suffered some injury or other. Lyle's was a mixture of metallic and leafy. I think the other elves might know he was a hybrid, but I doubted he knew it himself. His ears didn't even have points like the others. "Is everyone okay?" asked Rainier from up where the cave was. He didn't even sound as though he cared much for the casualties. There was a slight irritation from him, and I took it to be to be caused by the fact that the dragon was absent. We have 5 dead, replied Michael, the leader of the humans. Rainier was the leader overall, but most of the normal humans looked to Michael. As far as I'd heard of him, he had numerous scars all over his body, and Isabel had a strong disliking for him too. I don't think she liked any men who treated her just like another woman. I wasn't counted as normal, so I didn't have much association with him. We shall wait here for 3 days until the beast returns, said Rainier steadily. Clean away the bodies of the vermin and throw them off the cliff. We'll set up the tents here. He's being stubborn again, muttered Isabel beside me. Personally, I hate to make camp on the site of a recent battle, but that dragon is one of the smart ones. It won't show its face anytime soon. It will have left the vicinity a long time ago, but what do I know? I'm not a dragon. And that's end chapter 3. It's rather short. Anyways, I'll continue typing. Tune in next week. I should be able to read chapter 4 for you. Okay, cue music. Back to typing.